Hey everybody, welcome back. Today is a Buddha day. Busting it out, busting it out. Alright, we're in the section Self and Society. The Buddha was invited by a Brahmin to have a meal in his house. But when he arrived, the Brahmin greeted him strangely, with a tolerance of abuse. Politely, the Buddha asked, "Do visitors come to your home, good Brahmin?" "Yes." "What preparations do you make for them?" "We get ready a great feast." "What happens if they don't arrive?" "Then we gladly eat it ourselves." "Well, Brahmin, you invited me for a meal and you've entertained me with hard words. I want nothing from your preparation, so please take it back and eat it yourselves." "Never retaliate in kind," the Buddha told his followers. "Hatred does not come to an end through hatred, but can only cease through generosity." Jataka tale. "Depends, unless you straight murk the hater." Abandon wrongdoing. It can be done. If there were no likelihood, I would not ask you to do it. But since it is possible, and since it brings about blessing and happiness, I do ask of you, abandon wrongdoing. Cultivate doing good. It can be done. If it brought deprivation and sorrow, I would not ask you to do it. But since it brings blessings and happiness, I do ask of you, cultivate doing good. Anguttara Nikaya. A Brahmin asked the Buddha, "Since nirvana exists and the way there also exists, and since you exist as an advisor, why is it that some of your followers reach nirvana, but some do not?" "Let me ask you something, Brahmin. Do you know the way that leads to the town of Rajgir?" "Yes, certainly." "Now suppose a man came to you and asked you the way there. You might tell him, 'This road goes to Rajgir. So along it for a while. After a time, you will see a village and then a market town. But just continue onward. After some more miles, you'll see Rajgir with its delightful parks and forests and ponds.' But although this man has been carefully instructed by you, he might still take a wrong road westward, while another man, hearing the same instructions, follows them easily and reaches Rajgir. Now since Rajgir exists, and the way to Rajgir exists, and since you exist as advisor, why do you think one took the wrong road and the other the right one?" "Because they didn't have GPS." "There would have been nothing I could do in this matter, Buddha. I am merely a shower of the way." "Exactly so. Although nirvana does exist and the way to it exists, and I advise, an advisor also exists, some of my followers will attain the unchanging goal, but others will not. There is nothing I can do in this matter. All I can be is a shower of the way. Shower of the way." Middle length sayings. There are some who wish to perfect themselves and who train themselves in the way. One single self we shall tame. One single self we shall pacify. One single self we shall lead to final nirvana. But those with compassion should not train themselves in such a way. On the contrary, they should say this: "My own self I will place into suchness, and so that all the world may be helped. I will place all beings into suchness, and I will lead to nirvana the whole immeasurable world of beings." All those of compassion should encourage their minds to think. Every living being, whether born from the womb or born in another way, whether they have perception or none, we should bring toward the boundless freedom of liberation. Boundless freedom of liberation. And when this vast and immeasurable number of beings has been liberated, we must not believe that any being has been liberated. Okay, make up your mind. Why is this? It is because no compassionate person, who is truly compassionate, holds to the idea of self. A being or a separate individual. Diamond Sutra. Ha! Kind of a non-climactic point there. Just as a cow with a young calf keeps an eye on it even when it is eating the grass, so it's proper for a person to keep an eye on all that can be done for others who are following the path. Very vigilant, right? Keeping an eye on the flock. Mahima Nikaya. The Buddha said to the monks, "People know you as monks. If they ask you, 'Monks, what are monks?' admit that you are monks, but say to yourselves, 'We will practice those things which make a monk.' In this way, being a monk will become a real action, our purpose properly carried out, and our use of the things we need to live on will become fruitful and creative. And when we leave the world, it will not be sterile, but fertile and full of result." It is the same for all of those who are not monks. However, this is addressed to you. So a monk simply has to tell people, "We're trying to practice being a monk." What are those things you should practice? Train yourselves to be conscientious and tactful. Caring for others, you may think, "We've already done that." Enough is enough, and it has already been done. We've accomplished all we need to do as monks. There is nothing further to be done, but I say, and I protest, don't stop your quest while anything further remains to be discovered or done. What further needs to be done, you must train yourselves, saying, "We will become unsullied in our conduct." Unsullied reminds me of those warriors, the unsullied. But here they mean in a different way, obviously. "We will neither exalt ourselves nor look down on anyone else." Diga Nikaya. Don't exalt and don't look down on others. An only son, much loved by his parents, was careless and rude and learned nothing. His parents hoped he would at least look after the land, but he was lazy and dirty and gave them much grief. Lazy and dirty. The neighbors despised him, and his parents finally came close to hating him. This at last touched his heart, and he took to religious exercise and prayers, but found little help. Hearing about the Buddha, he went to see him and asked to become his follower. The Buddha told him, "If you would like to be with me and to find the comfort, the way, the first thing for you to learn is the right behavior. Go back to your home and learn to do as your parents want. Continue to recite your prayers and work hard in your daily life. At the same time, clean yourself up, put on proper clothes, and don't neglect yourself again. When you've learned this, come back to me, and you may be allowed to become one of my followers." Dhampada. It's interesting. So don't be like dirty. You could be a monk and be a beggar, but don't be filthy and like totally just covered in your own muck. Two kingdoms were on the verge of war over the ownership of a certain embankment. When the Buddha saw the kings and the armies ready to fight, he asked them to tell him what the cause of this quarrel was. Having heard both sides, he said, "The embankment has value for some people who live on it from both kingdoms. But does it have any intrinsic value apart from that?" "It has no intrinsic value whatever." The Buddha continued, "When you go to battle, is it not so that many of your men will be slain, and that you yourselves are likely to lose your lives?" "Yes, many will be slain, and our own lives will be in danger." "Has the blood of men less intrinsic value than a mound of earth?" Ask every military general ever that question. Every empire. "No," both kings said. "The lives of men, and above all the lives of kings, are priceless." The Buddha concluded, "Are you going to take that which is priceless against that which has no intrinsic value at all?" The anger of the two kings ended, and they became to a peaceful agreement. Little political savvy Buddha there. Savvy.